All right, I'm about to start adding dimensions, but I did realize that I had never renamed these sheets, and that's going to bother me. So I'm going to rename these red multi-view. I really do like making sure that I've named things and created folders, etc. So um, it just makes it way easier. Oh, purple, not purple, purple, purple. And it just makes it way easier to kind of know what's on each page for navigating, etc. It just makes it professional. So green multi-view. So we want to look very organized. Okay. All right. So on to the blue one first. So the deal with dimensioning, and you can press D on the keyboard to find where that dimension tool is that we are simply showing what the size of this object is. The rule is that you need to always explicitly give the overall width of the shape. The overall width of the shape is left to right in the front view or left to right in the top. You can attach to either one, but I'm going to generally use the front as much as possible. So we talked in class a lot about managing this little extension gap, but dimensioning. So if anybody's here kind of having missed stuff, know that using the dimension tool, you can click on a single line segment and give it, dimension its length. These extension lines go to the, kind of stop just short of the endpoint. You can also click on two parallel lines, and that'll give you the distance between them if you get parallel lines. And then when you pull the dimension, if you pull it to the left, those extension lines will stop just short of the endpoints that are more on the left. If you pull it to the right, you can't really see it on there, but it should then use the other endpoints. Okay. We want to pay attention and be aware of those little extension line gaps and try to manage them and have them in a nice place. The other thing you can do is you can click on corners. You can click on 2 points. So like, let's say I wanted this, I don't want it, but let's say I wanted this horizontal distance from here to like here, really here. I could click on those 2 points and get that. Sometimes what happens is people find out that they trying to fix the dimension line gap, they realize like, hey, that extension line's going hitting the quarter and keeps on going further down than I didn't, and I lose that little air gap that I want. That makes it easier for me to see the profile of my shape. With the dimension tool turned off, okay, make sure you see that it's turned off. You can click on a dimension that whose extension line is not doing what you want, and you can try to grab that blue dot and see if you can move it. Sometimes it lets you nicely and sometimes it does not. Okay. So if it does not play nice, just delete it and be more thoughtful the second time you create it. Not that big of a deal. Okay. So that was just real quick, a little bit information about the dimensioning tool in general. All right. Now, so for adding dimensions, the first pass through all these pages is going to be to add the overall width, the overall height, and the overall depth. Our preferred location for each of these, okay, let me just use my snipping tool real quick so I can annotate differently. This seemed to help some kids in class a few days ago. Okay, so with your multi-views, taking a second here. All right, the desired place for width is right here, is in between the front and the top view, because both of these views we can see width. If it's tied to the front or top, doesn't matter as much. It should be kind of, both extension lines should go to the same object, but I generally am going to use the front as much as possible. Okay, so that's width. Height, the preferred location for the overall height is here, in between the front and the right view. Those are the two views that you can see height. And then the last one is depth. The overall depth is, why can't I choose a color? All right, is looking down from above, is this is the front edge, this is the back edge, this is the direction of depth. Okay, going this way. So depth should be either on the right side, this is the overall depth I'm saying, on the right side of the top view, or, not both, but or, one or the other, or the horizontal right here above the right view. This is also showing depth when you look at the side. Okay. Because this line is really the front, This line here is the back, and so distance from front to back is depth. This line here is front. This line here is the back. That's where the back face would be. And so from front to back is depth. Now, we don't give both because our drawings are supposed to give all the information as concisely as possible. We don't want to be redundant and give any information twice. Okay? Hopefully that helps. Now that's going to come up again in a moment. So I think I'm just going to erase and maybe come back to the snip in just a moment where I can re-annotate some things. Okay. So dimension tool turned on, width is left to right. Placing that here in between views. All right, height is top to bottom. I'm going to choose this knowing that I want the dimension here on the right, I'm going to choose this segment that's more on the right of the bar as opposed to this segment that's on the left because I don't want that extension line to come all the way over. So I'm going to choose this segment and then the bottom segment, which is the most right segment on the bottom. And that way I manage my extension line gaps. And I'm going to leave a little space because I may need to come back and add some more dimensions on the second pass. This first pass is just to get overall the longest width, the highest height, and the deepest depth, which is just that right there. Okay, so we're going to repeat that with the other 3 drawings. So on this one, the width from very left to very right, from very bottom to very top, I can use the points, that will work, and overall depth is that line from here to here, right? From front to back, that is depth. All right, on red, overall width, very left to very right, from the lowest to the highest. Notice when I chose that, the bottom was not one big segment, it was 2 sections. I got the more right section, knowing that I'm going to bring this to the right. Again, managing my extension line gap. And depth here, for reasons that maybe we'll mention soon, but not at the moment, I'm going to choose, well, the right side of this top view is more flat, where the top view has contour. I'd rather put the depth where there's the contour. So from this is the front. This edge here is the back face. That is front to back. That is showing depth. I'm going to put the overall depth in the right view this time instead of the top view. Okay. And you can always move these views a little bit just to make sure you have enough comfortable spacing for all your dimensions. Do note that when you move your front view, the top and the right may move too, because the top has to stay. We use that project tool, right? These are all projections. The top has to stay aligned to the front. So if the front moves left, the top moves left. If the front moves right, the top moves right. If the front moves up, the right will move up. If the front moves down, the right will move down. They have to stay aligned, okay? All right, so we got 2 more to go. So overall width. Again, I want this width on top, so I'm going to choose the higher of the segments on the left side, since there's 2 segments to choose from, and the right segment. So that's overall width. Staying more on the right side for my height, I'm going to choose the very bottom and the very top, overall height, and overall depth. Both the right side of the top or the top side of the right are both good, equally good. It really doesn't matter. I don't have a preference. I don't know if you do, but this would be the front. Okay, I'm staying more on the right side of the back since I'm pulling to the right. Again, constantly thinking about that extension line gap. And the last one. Okay, overall width, very left to very right. Overall height, so from the bottom, but on the right side of the bottom to the top. Oh, I didn't. Thought I caught the top and I didn't. So I turn off the tool. I'm going to click that dimension, hit my delete or backspace key to get rid of that, and just try clicking again. So bottom to top, I must have just missed it. And placed that other dimension instead of creating a new one. And then depth. I don't really have a preference with this shape either. You know, this has some contour here as well as this, but sometimes that's what I'm looking for is on this side, is it flat versus contoured? You know, compared to the other ones, so if one's got some contour and the other one's flat, I go with the one that's got the contour. So overall depth, I'll just put this one in the right view this time. It doesn't matter. Just don't do both. Okay, so there you go. That was the first wave. We have made a pass showing overall width, overall height, overall depth. Now we're going to make a second pass. Now this is where, if you go back to the Canvas assignment, we said that you have to look at each, see if I've got, let's use my camera window real quick. But how small can I get this? I'm trying to get just a window that I can drag on my screen. Okay, so think about the width. What I want to do is kind of hide it for a second with this window, and I want us to unveil it, and I want you to be thinking about if or when anything changes from what you see in the beginning of the part. And every time we see a change, that's going to be the beginning of a new section. So I want you to think of how many sections there are. So kind of unveiling this, everything looks the same until boom, right there. Something changes right here, right? So this is section 1. Now we're beginning section 2. Now section 2 is not changing, not changing, not changing. It's all the same until right there, boom. Something changes from here to here, right? So this is now the beginning of section 3. So this width direction for this piece, I'm going to say has 3 sections, okay? Now, however number of sections you have, you will need that many dimensions minus 1. So 3 sections, 3 take away 1 is 2. I need 2 little sections dimensioned. I'm going to get these 2 widths. This is thinking left to right. So here gets me partway across, and here gets me partway across. I know this is undimensioned, but the deal in class that we talked about is if we all agreed, okay, that the distance, and this is where I left my screen, my snipping tool open, okay? We all agreed that this distance plus this distance plus this distance was going to equal the overall distance, right? We all agreed that that was true. Every single person got a chance to speak up and kind of argue it if you didn't agree. Now, by not giving the middle one, it's not unknown. We have not left it to be a variable that can change. If the overall is known and these 2 pieces are known, and you think about this as an unknown, it is actually, there's enough information that it's been determined what it has to be. See, if you take the whole and subtract this piece and this piece, there's only one answer you can get. So in drawings, we intentionally leave 1 off because there is already enough information to determine what that is. Okay. Now we never do that like with adding all 3 littles and saying, well, you can figure out how long it is, the whole width, because you can just add them up. No, it just makes sense in engineering. People want to understand their part, and at a very, very quick glance at a sheet, they want to know what the overall lengths are. The overall. Okay, so we never make people do math to get the overalls, but it is okay if one little, it's not just okay, it's actually intended and correct to leave 1 of those off. Just 1 though. If you leave 2 off, now there's options. There are multiple correct answers of what this width can be and this width. And you may be thinking, not really. No, there are. We would never assume that these are equal. So you're thinking, well, 0.75 and 0.75. But this could be 0.7 and that could be 0.8. This could be 0.76 and this could be 0.74. So it would require an assumption that these are equal to leave that off. And we would never have somebody make an assumption about how big something is. So we can't leave 2 sections off. We can only leave 1 off. Okay. So now we're going to repeat that same process. Think of like this is a garage door unveiling the front view for height. And honestly, the right view also shows the height dimension. So this is true of both the front and the right. So I'm kind of looking at the front view and the right view at the same time, but it's all the same until right there, boom, something changes, right? So that's the beginning of a second section, kind of going up, same until right there, boom, something changes right here, right? And so that's the beginning of a second section. I don't see it in the right view, but I do see it here. It's kind of hidden. That feature, when I'm looking at the right side, this edge, that wall would be blocking the view of this internal feature. But that's the beginning of a third section. And you're never going to have more than 3 with these puzzle cubes because we limited you to 3 blocks in any direction. So we have 3 sections. That means we need to do 2 of the 3 heights. And just to be really simple, I'm just going to go from the bottom to this first section, bring this out here to the side. Okay, so that's the first section. And then the second section will be from here. I can use the corner or that line And then I'm going to use this line. This would be the second section. Now, I don't love when an extension line has to go into the part, but every once in a while it's required. Lastly, would be looking at depth. And it's all one section. There's no, kind of look at this from back to front or front to back, there's no change. It's all the same all the way. And the only change is when you get to the other side, you end the part. So it's one section. And we've already given that one section with the overall. So that's it. That one is done. Blue is done. I'm going to do all of them. All right. So looking at width first, it's 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. I need to give 2 of 3. Now I would not click this because the endpoint there is going to get used for the extension line to go all the way down there, and it's going to cross this corner. So I'm going to use this left line and this other line to get this distance, this width or horizontal distance, to make sure that extension line stops. So there's section 1. This is section 2. And I'm not going to give a third section. I'm going to give 2 of 3. We say all but 1. We kept saying that in class, all but 1. All right, so that's it for width. Now height, going from bottom to top. There are only 2 sections, 1 to here and 2 to here. So I'm going to get this height. This one is okay to grab because it's on the end. It protrudes. I can grab that segment and just pull that out. I get the height of that. And that's it. It is correct to not put this height right here. We should not have these 2 sections of 2. We should not have 2 of 2. We should not have 3 of 3. We should have 2 of 3 or 1 of 2. In this case, the depth is 1, so that's it. The overall is it. The red piece. The width has 2 sections, 1, 2. Now, trying to decide what section to do, I always do the one that sticks out further. So I'm trying to get this width dimension up above. This one's already up higher. It sticks out, so I'm putting it right there. Same thing with the height. Okay, there's only 2 sections of height. From here, right from here to here, is kind of everything the same, and then from here up, everything is the same. So that's a long section, but there's no changes. There's no features from here to here. So we only have 2 sections. This height, this edge, which represents a height, is kind of protruding or sticking out, so I'm going to put it right there. Now, I did my overall depth here. I did that because trying to keep on the right of the top or above here, I had the contour. So thinking about coming back and doing one of these 2 sections, this one's already sticking out. That is nicer. Okay, then had I over here had so I'm going to delete these. I'm not going to have this, but had I had that there, I would have maybe put that there. Okay, but I'm going to undo those 2. That is wrong to put those because they are already here. It is redundant. It just adds clutter to your drawing, which is incorrect. Some people go, well, hey, you have no dimensions here. You're right, I don't. There's nothing that we've said that says every view has to have dimensions. We just need to make sure that all of the widths are dimensioned, all of the heights, and all of the depths. You can see each direction in 2 different views. If I can see height in the front view and the right view, it's the same part. I don't need to give height twice. If I know how tall the object is, I know how tall the object is, right? So I've given the overall height or both heights in the front view. There's no need to do heights in the right view. See, it's the same object. This little block here is that block. It's the same block. So once I know how tall it is, I know how tall it is. All right, continuing on. Purple. There's 1, 2, 3 sections. I need to give 2 of 3. These 2 stick out like that. Notice that I'm putting the smaller dimensions close to the part and the longer dimensions further away. That is intentional, okay? If the longer dimensions in closer, if you are, made that and left it close and then you're dragging these across, grab that longer dimension and pull it out. It should be further away. We don't want the dimension line, the line with the arrows, to ever be intersected by other stuff. And so here you'd be dragging those extension lines across and that gets really messy. So longer dimensions further away, shorter dimensions close. Okay, so there's width. Now height, there are 2 sections. Now, if I use the front view to get the height of this the bottom of the kind of the top of the section 1, Then I'm going to have an extension line that runs into the perimeter, the inside of the view. And you know what? I don't have to do that if I come over to the right view. So for height, I think I'd rather put the height dimension on this segment because that's more on the contour and that looks better. And because I'm doing that, then I go, you know what? Maybe I just delete the overall height from tying it to the front and I will tie it to the right. And just kind of have both heights having the extension lines going back in the same direction. That seems like it's a nicer, neater thing to do. Now, for depth, I have the overall depth. There are two sections. From here to here is 1, and from here to here is 2. The depth dimension should live over here. So in terms of doing the little one here or the little one here, I'd rather do this one because this already sticks out. It's already closer to where I'm putting it. That's the end of purple, and I have 1 left to go. All right, so now for the width, I have 3 sections. Kind of from here to here is 1, from here to here is 2, and from here to here is 3. And you know what? This block sticking out in the top, that might be a better place to dimension one of those sections. So I might put that there, and then I need either of these 2 sections. It doesn't really stick out here, so I'm going to use the top view, and I'm going to go from the left to this line, and that'll be my 2 of 3 sections right there. And guess what I'm going to say like last time? If I have the width tied to the top, maybe I should tie the width to the top. Yeah, you could. And I might switch it, or I might just, I left a lot of room to add dimensions, or I might just pull that down. Either one is okay. So I'll leave it like this time to show you it's okay. All right, for height, there are 2 sections. From the bottom to here is 1 section. From here to the top is the second. This little piece kind of protrudes and sticks out. So instead of trying to get this height and dragging it over here, I'm going to grab this one. It's already closer to where it goes. And the last one is depth. That is this horizontal distance in the right view, because that's the front, that's the right. So from front to back, I said front right, but that's the front face, right? That's that face. And this edge is really the back face. That's where the back face would be. So from front to back is depth. I have 1 section here and 1 section here. I'm going to get this one because it already sticks out. It kind of protrudes in the direction that I want to go. So there are my drawing sheets, and they are done. Those are that's it. No more dimensions. The last thing would maybe be, right, just taking a step back and spacing things, making sure everything looks neat and organized. When you have 2 smaller dimensions, getting them aligned, having your numbers be neat, kind of neatly in the middle of those extension lines like this. It's not neat to leave a number on the extension line. It's super messy. Okay, but just trying to make sure things look pretty neat and spaced well. So I'll just click back through and kind of zoom out a little bit and just think if I've got some room. I don't want to crowd borders on my drawing sheet, but I also, I just want some nice white space. So you just have to get a feel for spacing. Okay, and I mean I'm just nitpicking a little bit myself, but just add just a little bit of margin. But otherwise, these, I mean, they look pretty good, right? So I'd say so myself. Bring this over just a little bit. Seems like maybe it's crowding, and I had already done the last one. Okay, so the very last thing, and I did this intentionally at the very end, is you can now turn on hidden lines. If you don't know which views are going to have hidden lines, you can just turn them on for all 3 at once. Click, 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 all 3 orthographics, and right click in the show hide menu. You can say show hidden, and they will appear where they're needed. This one only had 1 there. So when looking through the right face, this face blocks this feature at you, but it is back there. So a hidden line acknowledges that it's back there. Okay, again, if you don't know where hidden lines are going to be, you can click, 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 but this one has none. Red, it is going to have a hidden line on the right. So if I know, I can just do it on the one I know, but right, if you don't know, you can just kind of use it as a, hey, help me out here. Right is going to have a hidden line, and purple is going to have a hidden line on the right as well. Kind of same thing, that right face, that right wall blocks the fact that there's that in there. In my green, when looking from above, this top face black blocks that this edge kind of continues underneath and hidden because there's no block under the right one. So I am going to have a hidden line here. I'm going to have a hidden line here. I think only the front and right will have them, but we can click all three again just to remind you. You can do that. Show hide, show hidden, and it will put them where you need them. I tend to not turn those on until you're done dimensioning because there is a rule that says never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever dimension to a hidden line. So there are your multi-view drawings fully dimensioned.